So, I have a surface grinder, and this Eclipse vise that came with it is totally seized. Yeah, flood coolant was used. This is interesting though. Dismantling. Cannot lose magnetism except by dismantling. Service by maker only. Well, that sounds like a load of bullshit. Let's go open it up. Okay, now being serenaded by my peaches pre-singing concert. Here we go. Okay, so after that serenade, but also beating on this with a dead blow. Not hard. Maybe could have used more muscle, but at the same time, I'm not sure what I'm getting into, so experience has taught me otherwise. I have it clamped like this, just in case it falls off overnight. I'm just soaking it in penetrating oil to see if that will loosen anything up. The action here now is actually doable by one hand rather than a cheater bar. But I still can't move it past this position, so I'm pretty sure it's clogged. Anyway, so this is going to sit for a while, and I'll get back at it when I get back at it. Okay, thought about this more. I thought these were just locating pins, but this thing's British, and if the project Progress 4E has taught me anything, is that the British love taper pins. So I bet you these are taper pins. I think I found the radius on the other side, so I'm going to go ahead and try to knock them out. And there we go. The British love taper pins. Pro tip of the day. Okay, so I'm using a really long bolt from an electric motor after they're knocked loose from the punches. Just because they're pretty deep down there, so you'll need something that'll fit in, and it's probably about 2 to 3 inches of clearance there to really knock them out well. So I'm going to do this for the rest of the holes, and then thoughts and prayers time, I guess. Okay, so by accident I hit this a little bit further than I was expecting to, and it opened it up a lot. So this might be the time that I can fit a wedge in there, because I don't really want to move this any further because I might damage the actual permanent magnets. So I'm going to try to put some wedges in there. Not sure what I'm going to use yet. It's got to be soft. This is a coating. There's a coating on this. It's not that shiny. You can see the coating sort of flaked off in places, like right there. Yeah. Stop it. Right there. Yeah. Anyway. Okay. So I got a plan. So I got this to separate the plates. I have it in the on position, which actually brings the magnets down this way. So I'm not sure if that's a great spot for it. But I was able to move this top plate and lots of penetrating oil to make it there. And this eventually just popped up and out. So this seems to have been the appropriate method, and I'm just going really slow just to make sure I'm not going to break anything. I don't think I've broken anything, but it's time to slip something non-magnetic underneath there, that's for sure. Okay, so now that I've interrupted the magnetic field with this piece of cardboard, don't have any flat wood, I have to get the pieces separated. So I think they'll just come off now, but we'll see. Okay, and there we go. With the magnetic field interrupted, it'll just move off now. Okay, and then sliding it along the cardboard so that you can use mechanical torque to get rid of the last bit. That's how I'm shifted. You can see this panel's, somewhat to a right angle here. Had it over here, pushed it down, pulled it off. So, this is the setup. Now I get to clean it and figure out why it was so absolutely impossible to turn. Okay, and since I don't know when I'm going to get around to getting in here, though it'll probably be sooner than later, these are keepers, magnetic keepers, so that it keeps the magnetic field lines in a closed loop. That way it'll help keep the magnetism for the parts that are critical in here for longer. So that's why those are there, if you're wondering. All you need is a bit of mild steel. Okay, so I've gone over this with kerosene. It's really starting to polish up, which is nice. You can see where I have to knock the edge back too. The only thing that I noticed was that there isn't a pin in here, which is clearly designed to take a pin through this hole as it goes back into the cam. I guess that's not the cam, but the lever. So I'm just going to put a piece of drill stock back in there and see how it behaves. Okay, well here's the top side and the kerosene spray bottle. Kerosene is becoming my go-to remover here for things. It seems to work very well, especially on grease or oil type residue, because it's incompatible with most greases. So should have a nice looking finish for the inside, which I will never see until next time. So that's important. Okay. All right. Nothing visible here on why it would stop. So it must be the friction of something else and not just a magnetic field on the bottom plate. So I did notice a little bit of high spots in here. It's still catching my finger. I don't think the tolerance is that important, but I did go ahead and use the die grinder with a Scotch pad on it to sort of get rid of a little bit of it. I'm not sure if I can really get that edge down any further without really digging in, and I'm not sure I want to do that because I don't think it needs that clearance, but I'm in here while I'm in here, so maybe I'll just do that for now. All right, here's the middle section made of aluminum. This is spinning freely now, no sense in pulling this out. I'm going to clean up, there's a little bit of grease stuck in there. So kerosene and Scotch-Brite again. Did a decent job. So now comes the challenging reassembly. Okay, so I've oiled the top and we're just going for reassembly. The bottom press is really tight, so it may be there that the problem lies. If I can flip this upside down and redo it, I will. There's nothing screamed out to me here that it needed to be fixed that way. I decided to not pin this and to leave that open to try to catch some oil as it's going through. It doesn't need to move. I don't think it causes any problems if it does move. But so we're lined up. Now comes the difficult part of getting the board back on, and I think I'm going to have to do it in stages. I'm going to have to put some aluminum here and sort of remove it bit by bit by bit until I get to the end. Okay, so here's my base. All right, this end I'm going to slowly lower it in, and then I'll probably have to get the toe jack back up here to help drop it down and align it the rest of the way. I did think about putting one here and one here, and then sort of controlling it so side to side. So if this doesn't work, that's what I'll go with. Okay, that was higher pucker factor than I wanted it to be, but this is much easier to handle now, and thanks to the disruption caused by the aluminum, I should be able to start lowering this by removing shim after shim. So again, as I go and align them, I'm going to put these temporary dowels in, and that way I don't have to worry about the alignment shifting too much. Okay, so the second dowels are in, so now it's time to get the toe jack, put it up here, and then slowly lower everything down. Okay, so I slowly slid each wafer out, and then I dropped this little thing down, and that worked really well. So these are our guides. So now I have to go through and put the actual pins in and test it. So yeah. All right, so with that, reassembly with the pins is very easy. I wiped them off with acetone, and now we can check to see how much better this is already. Okay, it's a better start. There we go. Come on. I can do it with the hand now. So to me that means we're just out of lubrication. So I'm going to fill it with oil and let it sit on the other side in such a way that the oil can penetrate there. So I'm going to continue with the reassembly. And so I'm going to do this like a manifold. So I started here and there and there, and so you just kind of tighten it down and then tighten everything down towards the end. Okay, I put some anti-rusting on the bottom because I'm not sure when I'm going to get back to dealing with that. But I have it propped up so that air can come out here as I'm filling it with oil. And I'm overfilling it on purpose so that when it comes out and I lay it flat, it should help saturate this bottom part, which is the part I didn't clean, which is the part I think it's going to be most resistant. Moving the handle up to this sort of catching point is still fine. It's better than what it was for sure. However, moving the whole assembly on the internal side with it is still very hard. I'm not sure if that has to do with the screws here. Probably does. I don't really want to loosen these to let that handle move freely, but I might have to. Anyways, I'm hoping this works instead, so slow and steady and let the air bubbles come out and then lay it flat for a while. Okay, so a little update here. I've been letting this sit with the oil. The seals are pretty tight. I didn't bother putting any actual sealant down there. Anyway, I have a decent amount of SAA 30 weight non-detergent in here, and I can muscle this over. It's easier, well, I guess it just depends on what side, but I certainly can't do it easily like this because you got to overcome friction on the inside as those plates slide into the magnetic region, but also because you're moving a massive magnetic field. Okay, so with the oil in there, I can now do this a lot easier. There. Still hard, but it's a lubrication issue. So now it's just time to dress the wheel and grind it back in.